Hey there everyone. Today we're going to go over how to do a quote or takeoff import into NextMinute. To begin, you're going to want to go to the account section on the left, then go to quotes. From there you want to click on add and then using import file. At this screen you'll want to assign a customer to the quote. So I'll just choose one at random and then click next. Now at this stage you're offered two different types of import. You've got a quote import or a supplier quote import. So a quote import is what you want to use when you're importing a takeoff or any type of quote that is going to include both materials, labor, disbursement, and other costs. Whereas a supplier quote import is what you're going to want to use when there's only materials involved and you want to save those items into your price book. On the left here it says sales items. Today we're going to do a quote import. On the quote import, there's a download quote import example, which is this file here. This shows you the sort of sections that we're looking for when we do a quote import. You've got your section name, your section level, your charge type, your item code, your item name, description, quantity, and so on. The only ones that are required are the charge type, the item name, and also the buy price. Those three things are needed. The rest are all good to have, but aren't required. So to do one, I'm going to use this example quote that I've got right here, but there's a few changes we're going to want to add. So to begin with, on the left here, I'm going to add another column, and I'm going to call it charge type. Now, as I said, charge type is required when you do a takeoff import or a quote import, so you need to make sure you add this in. Charge type should be defining the items to match NextMinute's charge types. So for example, all of these that have hour on them, I'm going to safely assume that they are all labor, right? So in this case, I'm going to write labor into the charge type, and then I'm going to fill that across the rest of the fields. Then I'm going to go back to before and show all of the all the units again, and you'll see there's still some that are blank. So every single one of these need to have either material, disbursements, labor, or other. Now to explain those in a bit more detail, labor is used for your labor, material is used for any materials on the job, disbursements are used for reoccurring costs that fall out of those categories. That could be things like hireage, mileage, really any cost that's not a material or labor. And then lastly you've got others. So others are used for things like subcontractors. So just to speed this example up, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to put materials under most of these things. So I'm just going to write materials and then drag it across. And then for painting, just to show you that it does work, and electrical, I'm going to do other. Maybe that's all handled by a subcontractor. So I'll put the cost in there as other. Then go up to the top. Now, all that's required, as I mentioned, was charge type, item name, and the price. You could also have a markup in here, which is going to then determine the sell price for the items. So you can put the percentage in there that you want. If you want to do 15%, just type 15, don't type 15%. It doesn't like the numbers. Same with the dollar signs. In your pricing, just keep it simple, use the number, no dollar sign needed. From here, we're going to go to files and download it as a CSV. And then you should see it's downloaded. We'll go back to NextMinute. And from here, we're going to choose the file to import. I'm going to choose it there. And then lastly, we've got to choose an import template. Now an import template tells NextMinute what the columns, so these headings here, section, charge type, and so on, mean to NextMinute, because you might have different wording there. So if we go choose import template, and I'm going to add one, you'll see it's already mapped the ones that have the same name. So for example, section name is section name, charge type is charge type, item code is item code, item is item name. So we need to drag that down to item name. Same with the description if you had one. Your QTY is your quantity. Units are units. And then price we're going to put as the buy price. And we're going to include a markup. Now you can include a sell price if you've already worked that out, but the markup is enough for now. And I'm going to call this import 3 just because I think I have others. And hit save. Then you want to click on done. You should see your items, your sections down here. And then lastly, hit import. Now this can take a little bit of time depending on how many items it's importing and how large your quote is. So let's just give it a moment and it should come in nicely. Now, one thing we didn't really touch on is the section level. So inside the example, you'll see here section level. Essentially, if you ever want to have a subsection in your quote, you just need to put a 2 in there for an indented section, 3 to go indented one more time. Let's just go back. There we go. So you can see it's come in. You've got prelim, demo, and so on. At the bottom, you've got your labor total, your materials, and your other total. And it's all come in very nicely. Sweet. Hopefully that all makes sense. But if, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the team at Next Minute. We'll be happy to help. Cheers.